rabbit is electrifying. Electrifying.
Alrighty, and we're live. I am doing a surprise stream, everybody, because my mind is racing too much, and it's hard to focus, and I've got a lot to do. And so I need a way of getting myself on the spot, like I've done before when you guys are watching me draw. I'll give you guys, of course, the first 5 or 10 minutes to show up. But yeah, I need to get myself a little more comfortable by myself as I draw. All of the normal plans we have are going to stay the same. Don't worry about that. But I think I need to introduce doing some solo stuff as well. So in addition to what we normally do. Because my mind races too much. I second guess myself. And this is becoming my platform for getting a lot of, well, a lot of my income. A lot of the focus of my job is becoming making videos. You see me adjusting the little thing below me. I need to get more practice there, so that's why I'm doing this late at night, just getting myself a little bit more practice as I work and stay productive. You guys can watch. Okay. Ah, Hattie is here. Welcome, Hattie. Glad you can make it. I'll give you guys a little bit of time to show up, but overall, I'm just starting and kind of gonna not quite vent. I won't go that far, but I will go ahead and just talk as I draw, because the picture, I had to change up the colors a lot, so that became a time consumer because I'm making up the colors on the spot. This isn't specifically off of a reference, so that causes a lot of confusion for me. Hattie is asking, do I need to use my shoulder to draw? I don't know if it's shoulder. I usually have heard of using your arm. Technically speaking, you are supposed to use your arm more than your wrist. I still do a little bit of both, but technically you're supposed to move your arm around as you draw, because that takes care of your wrist. If you use only your wrist when you're drawing, that can develop carpal tunnel and all the stuff with your wrist. So that's what they mean whenever they're saying to draw with your arm. I haven't heard them say shoulder, but I guess that can help too. And yay, Birb is here too. Welcome aboard, Birb. Thanks again for the emotional support earlier too, because I overthink everything and was nervous about even starting this. And I think it's okay to go ahead and tell you all that. Part of what's probably made me second guess myself so much is this, I think everyone can relate to this to some degree, where you have this kind of internal monologue of what you should be doing and what you're not allowed to do. And one of the things I've been saying I'm not allowed to do is admit when I'm nervous or, you know, needing any kind of thing like that. It's hard to even admit because, yeah, it feels like I'm doing something wrong. It doesn't quite upset me. I'm in a good mood, but I feel hesitation. And I think that is a habit I need to get rid of. It's a big part of why I'm going to try and do more regular streams. They may not be as long when I do solo streams. I might keep them to just being an hour. I might just, you know, or we'll see what happens. But this way I can get comfortable in my own shoes. And this way we can still keep the plans that we've had intact. Because the thing that got me also nervous, I think, if we're having a little bit of vent time, I'm just going to tell you all what's on my mind because you deserve to know, is that I was nervous if I made a big change that it wouldn't be fair to Bird or Jack or any of you, because then suddenly we're changing how things are. And having that thought got me on, you know, running myself in circles. I think a big lesson about that is to, if you're nervous about something, instead of racing around in circles and feeling nervous or doubt, you just need to try it anyway. Because so often I'm noticing it disproves your worries, your fears. It's a big part of why I'm doing this right now. And I think it's why the practice makes perfect mentality is so important. And Red is here. Hello, Red. Glad you could make it. And you made it early enough, too. Granted, I am starting a stream pretty late, so that's part of it. But yeah, I very much need to get more comfortable standing up for myself as I talk, because I think I overthink it. And I didn't realize it was, you know, on my mind so much until a little while ago. Our friend Amy, if you know her, who does Wolf Wizard, she was streaming as she worked, and I do enjoy talking, but I need to get more comfortable working at the same time with an audience. Right here, I'm cleaning up a lot of the colors around the edges. Normally, people would be using a selection brush to do this, but my line art is very freeform. My line art is messy. I don't know if it looks it to you, but a lot of times when I zoom in, my line art is very messy, and that means I can't really use the selection tool the same way, because if I use a wand tool, it'll select outside the lines. And so even though I think it annoys some of my artist friends, I've talked to one from Facebook who I've known a long time, and when she saw me doing it, she was like, "No, you're doing it wrong, come on." And I will with a very polite manner disagree. she's a wonderful, wonderful person and friend, but no, this is just the flow that works for me. It probably does take up a bit of time, but it helps me. And to be fair, she has very clean artwork, so clearly her method works too. I can't discredit that part. I've actually seen a lot of artists where the selection tool and using the magic wand does solve a lot of problems. For me, it takes up a lot of time, and I have to change my art style to accommodate, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, I think right now I'm doing a little bit less of lessons, but more so talk, you know, just telling you what I'm thinking of as I draw. And we can still keep this a little laid back, but I need to build my backbone. I need to build practice, and you all are here to help me. I'm super thankful for that. The way I worded that sounded weird, but I think you hopefully get what I mean. Okay, you need to respond to something right before I get into the flow, because we're still in the early stage, letting you guys all show up. There we go. I'm going to keep this phone away from me so that I'm not preoccupied by it. I don't know what button I pushed there. We can probably do a little bit of Q&A if something comes to you guys' mind. Hattie was asking about drawing with your shoulders, which if you draw with your arm, it does help prevent your wrist. It does help prevent harm on your wrist, if I said that right. This is what I mean by practice. I get myself in such a little, like, I guess feedback loop. I overthink, and I think I need to relax more. I have the general, like, hype whenever I'm around friends, but I need to learn to work on my solo streams too. Bird's first question is asking how to pronounce that word. I do say ibuprofen. I've always said ibuprofen. I don't know any other way to say it, actually. Is it ibuprofen? Or how else would you say that? I've always heard and said ibuprofen. Maybe it's because I live in the South and I'm a Texas boy. Could be. I don't think I have much of an accent, but who knows? Okay. One little thing I'm doing right here, you all may be aware of that, is of this technique, but I didn't like how much the bow blends into the rest of his body. So I am putting in it's basically just, I took the color black, drew on top of everything along the bottom where the lighting would be, and then I lowered the opacity so that I have a light shadow. Maybe that part looks simple, but in case it didn't look simple to you, I wanted to explain it. Just in case it gave you something to think about and try out a new technique. Because that's kind of my biggest thing. I'm trying to expose you all to as many techniques I use as possible. Okay, I selected something. Let's go back to the chat. Ibuprofen? Interesting. Yeah, pain meds. I've used ibuprofen before. I'm surprised you say ibuprofen, because there's a U. I don't know. That's an interesting little... maybe it's a regional thing is the right phrase. There's probably a lot of words like that, because I think some people, you know, there's the thing of, I think, aluminum and aluminium. I think sometimes it's spelled different, and people just like to pronounce it differently. There's probably more examples. We could make that a subtopic here, if you guys have something. Ibuprofen just sounds extremely weird when you say it fast. Not really to me, because I've only known that. Ibuprofen. That's a random point, but I like that. That actually helps me relax a little bit too, so thank you, Birb. But yeah. If we go on to more things on my mind to help me unwind a bit, I have been wanting to try other time slots of when I stream. That also will lead to another topic, but first, the reason is because of time zones. I know I have a lot of people who are over in Europe, and just in the US here, and in the North American time zone, I should say, all those time zones, there can be quite a bit of difference, and so if I were to stream early, that might help someone, you know, like Bird in the East Coast, but then a lot of my friends over in the West Coast would want me to stream later, in case they have school or work. And it's hard to find a middle ground to, you know, I want to ideally please everyone, at least to a degree, where people get used to it. And I think that's the second point I'm leading to, is that I really need to learn, I need to stick to a time and go from there. And so much has been on my plate lately that clearly meeting my own schedule has been difficult. I need to go ahead and just blurt that out there. I'm at a point where I've got so much to do, it's really hard to meet my own schedule. And that's clearly why I need more practice. It's gotten to the point where my slideshow at the beginning of this stream, I couldn't even keep a time slot on there. I had to just change it to soon because I had to cop out. But it happens. I will eventually get better at that. That's the goal I'm setting. And if I say, yes, I will do it, that's going to build more pressure, and maybe that's what I need. You know, that's why I think I need to do more solos in addition, so that I feel more pressure, and, you know, it pushes me into shape. You know, it's like a workout. You have to tire out your muscles in order to build more muscle. And I think to a degree that happens with emotions and habits. You have to kind of push yourself a little bit uncomfortable in order to learn a new habit. So like right now, I am I'm a little nervous still. It's to the degree that I'm comfortable in front of a camera, but I am overthinking everything. And I think, you know what, it's like, there's a lot I just need to admit to you guys, because it's like, why not? The whole point is to keep things honest, and I think there's multiple ways to be honest in front of people. You know, you can omit truth while still being honest, and so, yeah. And there's also ways of being negative but honest, and so I'm trying to be positive yet honest. So, yeah, I'm admitting to you guys that even now, I still have the, you know, overthinking everything as I draw. But yeah, back to the picture. It's getting much closer to done. The thing I've been overworking is trying to figure out what colors are going into all this. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to add much more. Though as I look, I'm comparing pictures from the game. This is Hanzo from Overwatch, who has now been turned into a wolf. It's based on the skin that apparently was get prizes from me. I have a Patreon in the description below. I need to let myself practice advertising as well, because I don't normally do that. I'm not usually comfortable with that. Hanzo? I mean, he's got hands, but I already lost my train of thought. But yeah, I need to it's a lot I need to practice. And you know, at least maybe this is also just like a way to look back later on. I can look back to this and see all the ways that I've, you know, changed and grown. So, yeah, even if it makes me groan when I look back. So, if you ever find yourself doing that with old artwork or anything, that's usually a sign that you have been improving. It's the thing that gets me out of the, like, discomfort there. Because I look back on my old stuff and have so often just been like, oh, why did I draw it like that? But that's normal. And so, yeah. There's too many internal standards we put on ourselves. You can't let that hold you back. If you're feeling a lot of burps, then you need to burp. And if you're feeling a lot of doubts, then you need to prove yourself wrong. Because I worry so much that I then don't even do anything. And so that's why I made myself do this right now. It's like, I need to learn. So, yeah. Bird is now asking... I love that Bird's asking all of the questions. Everyone can ask questions right now. That is fine. But you're also allowed to just, you know, listen in if you rather chill. When you see bird furries, do you prefer the arms are wings, or there are separate wings and arms? There are not enough wings and arms. Huh. I don't see that enough. I think I do... When I'm drawing and when I see it a lot, I tend to prefer going to the arms are wings. But within that category, there are two ways I like it. I've seen the, what is it? I guess the line. Are you guys still seeing me, or did I actually go offline? That's confusing. Okay, that's weird. I guess it's just on my end, the YouTube layout went weird. Did you guys see me go offline? Now everything looks fine. Okay, and Ulrich is here. Welcome, Ulrich. I'm glad you could make it. You're listening while doing homework? Homework? Quote, quote. I will assume it's just work at home and not schoolwork, so whatever your mysterious homework is. Whether or not you want to disclose, that is fine. But yeah, when their hands go from being wings to having real hands. Yeah, well, the talons. I like that a lot. But that third type of having wings on their back and arms, that's pretty cool. I've never heard of that method, if that's what you mean. That needs to be done more often. I love weird stuff. And that sounds weird, so I like it. There's an attraction when it comes to art of, like, if I see something that just hasn't been done yet, I already start to get fond of it. So, if you ever feel that and you're like, oh, but this is weird, no one would like it. No one ever does this. And it's like, good. If no one ever does it, and you're afraid, oh, but this isn't popular. Do you like it? Then you should try it. Period. I hold that to myself all the time, just no matter what. There's an idea I want to try. Just do it. Ulrich says, it's homework that job gave you. Oh, okay, wow, it's an intensive job. I mean, yeah. Yeah, a lot of jobs can get into that. And I almost have the exclusively at home type of job, which definitely is part of what's giving me trouble. I never feel like I'm at work, and I never feel like I'm having time off. So clearly it's nice to be able to be at home while at work, because it's like, I need to use the restroom, I need to go do this thing. That sounds nice. But it leads me to, I just get in a mental state of, I can't relax, I should be working. And so I don't have days off. Even when I have a day off, I'm still organizing stuff and basically working. So, yeah. Which is why I'm sharing all this with you guys, because I think I need to get this off my chest. And in case you all have thoughts about this, I'd like to hear it. All of that. Bird is saying there are a few Magic the Gathering cards that have back wings. Bird characters with wings on their back and other arms. That's interesting. It's a really interesting style. It makes me think of a gargoyle, which makes me think of the video that Jack showed us yesterday with that guy about D&D and Lord of the Rings. The gargoyle. Gargoyles are cool. Ulrich is saying, personally for birds and bats, prefer them to have wings as their arms. Now, bats who have wings on their back, like Rogue, or is it Rouge or Rogue? I've heard both. Look more like demons. I can kind of see that. And I believe Rouge Rogue, I don't know, is a succubus and not a bat. It's a good point. It was not D&D, it was Heroes Quest. That's what it was. I knew there was something missing. Thank you. I see a link there. Let's see that link. Let's see this example. Ooh. Okay, that is a really cool example. Let me see if it'll let me zoom in on this image. Here we go. It will. Now I can share it with you all. Here's what we were talking about when you have a bird with wings. Definitely gives a vibe of mythology. A very elegant vibe. Yeah, it definitely humanizes them more too. So that's cool. I'm glad you shared that. And prefer arm wings too. Yeah, in general, that's the style I like drawing more. I think my favorite is when they have wings, but they have another set of talons. I love that a lot. It just sounds cool. But yeah, I think the next step I'm just going to jump into, because I've mentioned before to you all, especially in the previous lessons I've done, I'm a very impatient artist. So if any time I feel even the tiniest bit stuck, I just jump onto another part of the picture. So like I was having a lot of struggle with the color scheme and making all these colors look right because I was picking the colors myself. So at times when I got stuck, I would switch to the line art and just start cleaning up my lines because I have a very sketchy style with my lines. And now I'm feeling that impulse again of feeling kind of stuck. So I'm going to switch to the light source. And from what I've done so far, I think the light source is on the left. So now you guys will be seeing me add the bit of highlight, a little bit of light source. It's subtle, but it'll add an extra oomph. It'll really push the 3D illusion. Now, when I used to do this in the past, it's probably obvious if you go through the stuff I have on DeviantArt, especially. Because I've been on that DeviantArt account, which I think is also in the description a bit. It might be. At least on some of my videos. There's so much I need to do. I lose track. But I used to really overdo this highlight. It's because I learned how to do it, and when I learned about it, I got really excited, so I think I overdid it. And that's fine. Honestly, I think that's just normal growth. So, yeah. Oh, there we go. My the Nightbot went ahead and posted the links, so there is a link to my DeviantArt. And I got really carried away with this like kind of highlight thing, which it does add a really nice effect, but I think sometimes it would make things look a little too shiny. Like the entire character would look so shiny. And I don't know. It started getting a little old, and I was like, yeah, I need to branch out. Sometimes I don't think it should be the entire character is shiny. So I'm learning to do it in subtleties, and I think I'm probably still changing it as I go. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. And Bird is saying if you had a king or queen character is gay and they have no children siblings, who will get the crown next? Depends how much authority the king or queen has to just say so. Because if they... Also, it depends on if we're getting, like... If we're staying accurate to history, they would just probably do the next relative. If you're saying if they don't have a sibling, And I actually am trying to avoid having personal things in the chat when it gets into the negative territory, Hattie. You're always free to like share how you feel, or rather if you have questions, but we are trying to keep this a relaxed setting, which is actually why I'm trying to do more of this practice. I need to learn my own backbone. I need to learn how I want to run everything. And I think I get too nervous to admit what I want in so many streams that it causes me to sometimes contradict myself. I don't know if it's ever happened badly, but sometimes it got to me that I wasn't really being consistent with when I stream, or the rules in place or anything like that. It's on my mind a lot. And so a lot of it could be me overthinking. So I need to just face it. You know, if you have a fear of something, you know, that makes you nervous, but you do want it, it means you need to do it more. Like if you're always kind of nervous about performing, but you want to perform, then you need to practice more and get past the stage fright. And if I'm feeling confused about what I want on a stream or in my videos, anything like that, then I obviously need to practice. I need to explore it more. Because you are always free to ask questions. You're free to just talk about your day and loosely say how you feel, Hattie, or anyone. You're allowed to just kind of be yourself here. But we're trying to avoid personal subjects that get into really intimate details, because I'm trying to respect everyone's privacy. And if I let people vent, then it becomes, you know, we get into certain subjects and sometimes something might accidentally happen, and I don't want to have anyone embarrassed. I want things to be relaxed and interesting. You know, I want us to bond and just have fun as we're relaxing here. So hopefully that makes sense. I can learn how to say that quicker, because that's part of this. The more I practice, the quicker I'll get at saying things in a summary, as opposed to a long paragraph, because I do that a lot. I just do. I can't help it. But it will change if I practice. I am getting to the point where I almost add too much shine. As you can see here, I've been adding white to the edges of these character. But I'm getting to the point where I only want the white highlight on the left side, because that's where the light is coming from. We can quickly illustrate that. Tiny bit of a lesson. But yeah, the light's coming from here, so I only want the left side of the character to have a highlight. And in parts like his hair, it's technically on the left, but it's towards the center of him. So it gets a little confusing to know if you should add the highlight or you shouldn't. And that's the thing that I think it depends on style. Some people would like to add it. Some people would prefer not. And I think there is no one answer. I think there's multiple. You just got to try it. Hey, Max is here. Welcome aboard, Max. I'm glad you could make it. I hope that this time slot actually did help you a little more. I did this surprise stream I mentioned earlier because I need to get past some of the nervousness I have. Whether I planned it or not, this is starting to become a platform for my job, and I need to learn to set my own kind of habits. And I think I would rely so much on Jak and Silly keeping me comfortable, because then I'm at ease, I'm relaxed, we're having fun, I'm riding a bit of a hyper mood, and I also need to build this as a brand, because this is how I make a living. I need to mention Patreon more to you guys, and I don't want to change what we already have, because I think what I do with Jak and Silly, and in the future, if I bring in more people, because I want to expand, but I need to build the habit, and I need to make sure that I can still stand on my own 2 feet and present things and give lessons and all of this on my own without relying on friends to give me a hype. I need to learn to get past it. And my friend Amy is the shout out I give. She did a stream earlier today, and that helped get my mind exploring what I'm afraid of. Because I need to confront it and just explore. And Max is saying, just got back from dinner from out of town. So don't worry, having similar feelings. Yeah, exactly. And it's becoming more and more a belief of mine that if you're nervous and having doubts, you need to face it. That's just what I'm learning. Obviously, not to the point where it causes huge problems. You have to learn your own pace. But I mentioned earlier, just like with muscles, if you want to build more muscles, you have to get your arms tired and a little uncomfortable. And then you build more muscle. And that's the same thing here. I emotionally still overthink everything. Therefore, I need to practice it more. I need to practice this solo streaming so that I learn to undo the bad habits, reinforce the good habits, bring in other stuff I've never done, you know. It's get myself out of the comfort zone a bit. I'm lately noticing in life that I feel a bit stuck and I don't want to hinder people. Therefore, I need to learn to just stand on my own and break old habits and establish new ones. So this was a bit of a risk. This was got me really nervous, but that's why I did it. Still adding that shine, and these the parts here are metal, so they in particular are gonna definitely have this shine. I might even add in some shadows a bit more because I need them to look like they're popped up. They're supposed to be kind of 3D, and here's a shadow right there. So I need to reinforce that. Because I think I was doing... There we go. Yeah, I'm adding this tiny pocket of shadow, and that's helping a lot now. Because these blue parts, these dark blue, are supposed to be popping up. And this metallic kind of sky blue, that's supposed to be flat. And I don't think it looked that way to me. So I needed to... Yeah, I needed to try that out. It's also why I'm doing this in front of people, is because I need to learn to do it in front of people. And I think Jak and I have said that a lot. If you stream in front of people, and that's probably the reason that Amy does it all the time. When you're streaming in front of people, it makes you feel like you're on the spot. It makes you feel a little tiny bit nervous of like, people are watching. I better hurry up and do something. And that's what I'm having right now. And I probably need to do it more often. So it's a bunch of things at once, you know. It's 2 stones with 1 bird. I like saying it that way. But yeah, Max is saying probably should do the same. Got to get back to cleaning and coloring a background for a specific DP animation. That's right. I'm glad to hear the DP thing is still going, or at least you're still feeling motivated about a lot of it. That's good. Remember to drink fluids. That's yet another thing I need to practice more about this. I often have a sore throat after all of my streams. And I think it's simply because I don't really remember to drink much. So I need to do it more. I also don't usually bring up health, but my diaphragm is not what it should be. So that's another hindrance. I used to be in choir, and I used to be a vocalist for a metal band, so I used to have a really powerful diaphragm. And I know all about breath support, but my health problem that came up in 2014 really affects my diaphragm. So my breath is really difficult, and yeah, I think that's probably why I run out of breath and have had a hoarse voice sometimes. Sometimes afterward, is what I should say. Still cleaning up lines. Still cleaning up these lines. I'll try not to get into too much serious talk, but I did want to share all of the stuff that I'm feeling with you all because you all deserve to know. Like, it's just as simple as that. Like, this is what's on my mind. I need to get it out there. And that's what this is. So that's why it's also a surprise. In case this helps people show up, that also can help. I will cut it right at my own curfew time because I still have to work with that because of the family. I could go into a whole topic about that, having to wait and work around my family, but that is what it is. It'll change. A lot of this stuff, even when you don't have an answer to a problem, it's not going to stay that way. And as long as you're talking with people and letting your mind digest it over and over, things will, one way or another, change. And if you're helping other people, if you're helping your friends, it doesn't mean you have to give them the best answer. Sometimes it's good to just talk with them or let them vent. That way, they can process their thoughts, and as time passes, things will change. That's how life works. Whether or not it feels like it's going to change, it will. And so, granted, with the venting, you usually want to do that privately. So that's, yeah. Max is saying, when I want to stream more too, just need to work around your work schedule. Yeah. Boy, does it. I accidentally talked into the water bottle and it made me echo. Hopefully it didn't distract. But, yeah, I can relate to that. That's why I wanted to go ahead and just do this stream like this, because I don't know. I need to change up my schedule, and so I tried bringing in something I don't usually do, and I just need to do that more. It's also why I rearranged my room. It's why now there's a different background behind me. It's yet another thing that I've noticed more and more, and why I like it so much, and why I probably mention it a lot. If things feel stuck, change something. Even if it's literally just rearrange some furniture. Change something. Because then it'll feel like things are changing. Therefore, you'll know you're not as stuck. Obviously, don't do it to the extent that it makes you panic. You know, keep it to a chill level. You know, just like I moved my desk. That's tiny, but it did kind of help me feel a little better of like, oh, hey, I moved my desk. Cool. I like this position. Hattie's asking Monty Python. Yes, I love Monty Python. I want to buy some cheese. They're great. There's probably a lot of their acts I haven't seen, or it's been a long time. I'm most familiar with Holy Grail. Because I saw that when I was really young. And then it was either like high school or college. I discovered some of their other acts. And they're really good. They're really funny. I like them a lot. Now you're getting me in the mood to watch them again, because it's been a long time. Remember this song, Look on the Bright Side of Life? Is that from their movie? That's what it's from. I need to watch that. I understand, Hetty. Yeah, I am also planning a lot. That's a whole nother subject, but there's a lot of things on my mind that I'm like, I genuinely am intending to want to watch soon, but have no idea when. I mean, it's about fun stuff, and that's one thing. If it's about fun stuff, don't let yourself stress. I've had that before in life too, where you start panicking and stressing about not, making that movie you wanted to see or various things like that. It's like, if it's something fun, you shouldn't let yourself get too stressed. Save the stress for when you have a flat tire. Save it for when something, happens and you need to do that. But like for fun stuff, it's good to learn the chill mode of like, if it didn't work this time, can obviously work the next time. Just let things relax. So yeah. And just rambling. Mainly rambling, which is fun. I needed this. And thank you all for listening to me ramble. I know, for me at least, this isn't the easiest thing to do. And literally by watching right now, even if you're just listening in, that is helping me conquer this hesitation, these bad habits. Because it hasn't gotten to it isn't at the stage fright stage. That was a while back. Now it's more of undoing the thought process I have. I tend to, yeah, we've been over this, but yeah, there's a lot of that I have left over. I need to change the color here. Ah, there we go. I realized a piece of metal was not the right color. Okay, now that I'm in the impatient mode, I'm going to switch back to highlights. Because, yeah, that way I never feel stuck. I never know how much to repeat what I've said before, because it's always hard to know if someone remembers what I've said, or if someone is new and they haven't heard it yet. So I try to do a variety. I guess part of it is also learning how much of this is a, like, I don't want to say performance, but I am in front of you all, and so I'm learning how to speak to you all naturally. Maybe that's it. And I'm learning. I am learning to find, and that's why I've been so happy with Jack and Celia. They've been helping me a whole lot in that department, where I'm just being me. And now I'm having to learn how do I do that by myself, and still bring up Patreon, which is in the description. I do lessons every week. You can get one-on-one lessons that way. And I also have lots of prizes and behind-the-scenes stuff. If you would like to support me and get lessons and prizes, you can click the description below. And I am going to, every once in a while, try to do what I did last Friday, where I... Wow, it was last Friday, wasn't it? That's weird. Time flies. It feels weird. I did a public Patreon stream where it was letting you all watch it, and it's still up there. I'm trying to, every once in a while, I'm probably going to make that a thing, because it's yet another, it's a way to promote, but also, you know, I know some people have monetary troubles, or they're figuring things out, or they're limited. I perfectly understand that. And if I do these every once in a while, it's a way for people to still benefit some. So, yeah, I'm trying to, you know, add in all the variety. That way, you also don't feel stuck. But yeah, my mind's now getting lost in thought. And once again, I trailed away from doing one part of the picture and just switched to something else because my mind felt like it. I didn't even notice I did it, because I was doing these highlights here, and then at one point I noticed the shadows in these pockets, the little, not pockets, corners of the armor, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to start adding the shadows here, and I don't even know why I did it. I just suddenly started adding that. It's working. So, yeah. Let me say that different. A big point about this piece is that I'm not blending. I'm only using flat colors. So actually, this applies to you, Hattie, if you were asking about painting. A lot of times when people hear painting, it sounds really difficult. It sounds like a scary word, painting. I think everyone starts off learning how to just do drawing. A lot of the times you just start with, you know, you take a piece of paper, you get your pencil or pen, and you start drawing a character. That's where I started. It's where a lot of people have started. And if you go from here and then go, oh, well, now I'll add colors. And over time, you can learn to add a lot of shading and go, wow, I added a lot of colors to this picture. But is it really painting? How do I go into real painting where there's no line art? I think that's what you've been referring to, Hattie. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And I definitely had a stage of it a couple years where I was like teetering, where I was like, I think I'm going to paint soon. It just looks so difficult. I don't know how to do it. And the method I found is to take a picture like this. I literally would go back to some of my old pictures and I would do this method to teach myself to paint. It wasn't just self-taught. People were also showing me stuff. But when you turn off the line art, now you have all of the colors in the right places. And now you just have to clean up the edges. And this is how I taught myself to paint. You can still go in with a black brush and slowly add in some dark, crisp edges. You can still do that, but you want to rely on the colors being next to each other. For example, you know that this is a strap across his chest, but there's no line art, and yet you can still see there's obviously a strap there, and that's because of different colors. And that's what painting's all about. It's learning how to let objects look separate just by the color itself. And sometimes you can get really dark, like here in the corner of his armpit. You can see right up in here. I got really dark with the color because it helps it look separate, but it doesn't quite need line art. And how do you saying? I mean, with painting in digital, yes, that's what we're doing here. Find it hard because you want to shade and make it look good. And exactly, you need to just learn how to shade then. If that's the part that makes you feel uncomfortable is learning how to do shading, then that's what the biggest part is. And you don't even have to do blending, where you turn the opacity to like 30% and you blend the color. You don't even have to do that. Even with 100% opacity, you can add shading just by switching how bright or dark a color is and do it that way. And the more practice you do with just practicing shading without line art, you'll start to build this 3D look, which is painting. Specifically for this picture, the prize was only for line art and colors, so that's why this is this way. But a lot of the ways I'm adding shading, like on this belt and on the fur and all that, it's still the same stuff that I would do when I'm painting. So, yeah. Basically, a lot of the stuff that I'm showing here and all that, I would be using it in painting. And so that's, yeah. A lot of the times, you can look at one type of art, and some of the rules will overlap. I know a lot of the times when Jak has mentioned what he does and why he does some of his techniques, I notice the exact same thing whenever I've done 2D animation. And so that's the cool part of overlap, and I like that a lot. It's, yeah. The more you just explore art and work on it, you'll start to notice that a lot. Where they'll be talking about a totally different thing that you don't even do, but you notice, I do that rule too when I work on my stuff. Huh. So, yeah. I think it all comes back to like design and stuff like that, so yeah. I'm going to add in some simple shading here on the pants, keeping track of where the light is. The light source is on the left, as we show right here. And yeah. Definitely. You should definitely try that out, Max. Anyone who's curious to paint. That's the way I got myself out of my shell. Because when I wanted to paint, but was too nervous, or it just felt too difficult. Because I was just like, I just want to use the line art. Why can't I just do that? And the answer was, actually, I can draw a picture with line art and then just turn it off. So that way it kind of makes it a little easier to transition. And that being said, I still do line art all the time. So this is the kind of thing I go into in-depth one-on-one over on Patreon. And I keep the backlog of episodes so that you can always go back if you miss an episode, or you can binge episodes if you want to learn a bunch of topics that I've talked about. So, and a lot of times, those will connect. So that can also help you see a theme and notice how I use something over and over, you know, that kind of thing. And I think the only highlight I need now is on the bow, because the bow is really raised up above him. So that's what I'm probably going to do here. I don't want to do too much, though. Again, I don't want everything to look... Which actually comes back to body language in front of a camera, which I've been trying to learn a lot, too, since we're on this topic of me getting out of my shell. I've never really thought about how much I'm moving in front of a camera, but I realize it's important to move around because, as I've noticed whenever I rewatch things, I feel like I'm not active. I feel like I'm stiff in front of the camera. And I don't feel like I'm stuck. I don't feel calm and bored. I feel really active. And so I'm trying to get myself to move my arms and move my shoulders around to convey what I'm feeling. And I've noticed when I watch a video of when I do it, it didn't look silly. You know, I'd feel like, oh, that's weird. I can't do that. I can't move my head like this. That'll look weird. But then I watch it and it looked normal. So let's see. Max is saying to try that out sometime. You're just too used to line art. Yeah. In that case, you might try this method and see if it helps. There are a lot of ways to learn painting. I don't even know if this method I've done is if there's a name for it, if there's, I don't know, but that's what I do, and it helps me a lot. It got me out of my shell and got me comfortable trying painting, and now I'm pretty comfortable with it. But again, that's just by practice. Ooh, Alex is here. Welcome, Alex. Welcome aboard. I forgot to do the, come on, the command. I don't have to do the command for everybody, but I like using commands. They're fun. Alex is saying you woke up at 5 a.m. in the morning and just woke up, or went to bed at 5 a.m. Oh, I've had those nights. Those aren't fun. Birb is saying, imagine a plague doctor that's a bird. Think that their head would fit into the mask? Huh. I mean, yes. Well, especially if you had a bird with a really short beak, and then they're wearing a plague doctor mask with a really long beak. That'd be funny. Either that, or you just have a toucan with a crow beak. It's who knows, but yeah, that could be fun. I love these ideas you come up with, Bird. That's really fun. Oh, I'm glad you don't have class, Alex, because yeah, I've both had those nights where you get to bed really late because you just couldn't sleep well, and then on top of it, when you had to go somewhere the next day. Oh, I've had that. I actually had a bit of that on the road trip we went on. It was hard for me to fall asleep because I was thinking of the trip. So yeah, there's a lot of scheduling I need to learn how to fix. So yeah, I apologize when it's become a hiccup to you guys, but I'm definitely working on that. Let's do another command. What other commands do I even have? I'm trying to remember them all. I remember this one. No, let's not do that one. How about, you know what? Let's do that one. I like that one a lot. I want to come up with funny ones. Because I know the 8-bit synth wave channel that I listen to a lot, they have a command where you can give a cookie to someone. I like that a lot. That's just kind of random and funny. It's just like, there's something to be said for just something that's random and just makes you feel good, even if it serves no big purpose. It's like, why not? It's fun. Having fun for fun's sake is underrated. It's extremely important. It can give you a lot of energy. It can lift your mood. It can help you get out of a funk. It's important just to have random fun without any purpose other than fun. So yeah, I think too often we get into that phase of guilt out of fun. Like, oh, I shouldn't be having all this goofy fun. I should be working. And so yeah. I won't go into that too much, Hattie. From what I've seen of those two brothers, I am not... It doesn't really hit well with me. I don't really get it. I don't relate to their kind of humor. And specifically with the stuff that happened recently, I was very annoyed. I did not like that at all. Because a lot of it seemed like attention-seeking, where they were being really rude and extreme just to get views, and that... You don't have to be rude to have fun, and you know, it's actually why, in my opinion, the style of that I do like. Sorry for hitting the microphone. The style of it that I do like, where things are weird, is PewDiePie. PewDiePie tends to make fun of that clickbait style, but I still find it honest and funny. Big, is that Jak? Or are you just a friend named Big? Either way, welcome, Big. I'm hoping you're Jak, but if you're not, that's cool too. Because I just called you Jak. Yeah, okay, thought so. Ooh, whoa. Had a bit of a delay in the chat with your messages, Max. Let's see. Your message randomly posted 3 times on my end, Max. But yes, starting out with line art. I've literally, the first couple of years that I tried painting, I would literally just draw a normal picture, and then when I got to this point, when it felt like it was almost kind of done, I would turn off the line art and just start cleaning it up that way. Excuse me. Burps. It wasn't me. Okay, I thought it was you. Good to know, Jak. I technically have 2 accounts as well, but I never use the other account. So, yeah. Yeah, I think it's just that, Max. Don't worry. It could be the connection. A little while ago, it looked like my stream had gone offline, but the chat was still going and OBS was still on, so I didn't know what was happening there. No worries. It's all fine. Let's get back in here. Yeah, right now it's just kind of the final stages of adding in lining, and then I'll have to do a bit of cleanup and make sure I have all of the line art correct, and it's pretty close to done. We'll see if I want another highlight or not, because I could add one from the other side if we want to really help it pop. That's my favorite thing to do, is add another light source. We'll see how it works. Okay, Max was on mobile version. That makes sense. I can understand that. You're using that one to sub, and the other one's to post. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. I think I tried doing that with some accounts, and now I've just resigned to only keeping track of one account. Gosh, I should actually go back to my old account and make sure I haven't forgot of something, because there were some accounts back in the day that I may need to revisit. Who knows? I'm not sure. And okay, yeah, that makes sense with mobile. Mobile's tricky. It doesn't always have the best Wi-Fi. Yet, the mobile version of YouTube is also the only way I can upload a video. Because when I've tried to use my laptop to upload a video, it always gets stuck in the processing and will never load. It only started doing this a few months ago. You guys heard me make a video about it. It's still that way, last time I checked. So, even though phones are weird, it's currently the only way I can upload YouTube videos. Go figure. I don't even know that. But yeah. Pants, wrinkle, lighting, and shading. Oh, thank you, Alex. Yeah. My favorite thing in all of art is doing lighting. Even just taking a picture and then just adding in white. There are ways of doing that where that's all you're doing. I am right now only taking a white brush. It's not a fancy brush. It's not on a weird setting. It is literally just a white brush, a circle brush, and I'm adding white on the edges where the light source is. And that's all I'm doing, because then it helps it pop. And sometimes I think I've added too much, so I'll kind of carve away a little bit like this. So, yeah. That's my thought process. I just love putting in lighting. It's just so fun. I just love doing it. Exactly. And I was really impressed. I remember, Jak, when you first showed me some of your stop motion, the first thing that, like, stunned me was how, like, professional looking the lighting is on your sets. I love that. It's just, yeah, lighting can make such a difference. It's what I've tried to do here, actually, with my camera setup, is that maybe you can tell, but my light isn't on in my room. It's only lit by lamps and the screens. But I've noticed when I do that, it really helps the contrast. It helps me show up. There's a little bit of lighting back there with that. I don't know if that one works, or I should turn it off. I could. You know what? let's see what you guys think. I'm going to randomly try turning that one off and see what you guys think. Let's see. Okay. How does that look? Let's experiment. Because I need to learn to just relax in front of you guys more often. I get myself... That's the whole point of this again. It's just I've been in such a conundrum. And then I also felt nervous that I was like, oh, but if I change anything, I don't want to like affect Jak or Silly. So this way, I'm allowed to do everything. I'm allowed to keep what we do and change stuff up in my own thing. I definitely show up better this way, but I don't know... Huh. Depends on you guys. Again, now my background looks all kind of like dimly lit spooky, but I like that a lot, maybe. You guys let me know. I'm stuck with both. Max is saying lighting is still a challenge for you because drawings, with drawings, you can never figure out where the light should go. I do know what you mean there, Max, but actually the answer is a little easier than it probably has felt. You can do it anywhere. And actually, one thing that they would make us do in art school all the time is, and you don't have to go to a school for this at all, is just draw the same picture like 3 or 4 times, and each time, give it a different light source. Pick the upper right. Then try the left. Then try below on the lower right, and just change it up. Change it up. And as you do that, you'll suddenly be like, whoa, there's a lot I can do with lighting, and it's completely up to you. Like right here, it was kind of by accident in this picture that I decided on the upper left. And yeah, I think actually this ties back in with what Jak was saying here. When drawing light is like, are all the drop shadows facing the same way? That's the only quote-unquote rule, is that once you pick a light source, stick to it. Because then otherwise it might defeat the illusion. You can have multiple light sources though, and you know what? We're talking about it, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. We already have a light source, upper left. You all can see I added the little goofy rays of light to show that light source. But I'm going to try adding another light source, because I do that whenever I want something to really pop, I do that. So, the main light is coming from his left, and what I tend to do for a second light source is I start adding shadows before I add that second light. So right now, that's my, oh, okay, let me make it a little darker. I'll start adding in a darker shade right now. We'll see how we're doing it. Adding in a little bit darker on that side. Right now, I'm making that side. I'm about to add the second light source, but I'm making that side darker. And that's because I want the second light source to look different. So that's what I'm doing right now. Let's make it a tiny bit lighter. We're doing a little bit of an illusion where it looks like it's blended, but I'm not actually using the blending tool, or opacity. And we're getting darker on that side of his face. And then when I add that second light, it's going to be really thin. But I'm literally doing the same thing we did, where we take a really thin, normal, boring white brush and start adding it on this side. Really thin. And as I'm doing that, we're now going to have a second light source. Now there's just this rim lighting is what they call it. Yeah, basically it's just another light source. It's what happens when I turn on that lamp behind me, actually. I think they do it a lot in movies too, especially Steven Spielberg. I remember seeing this in a video, that Steven Spielberg likes to have rim lighting a lot, where he'll have a light that causes a bit of a glow around the character. And yeah, it is effective. It does create a lot of like dynamic and 3D look. So in a drawing or a painting, that's a really fun technique. I remember in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, the title cards, the little like intro commercial break, they would have a rim light on the characters and it looked really cool. It's that kind of thing. Didn't mean to get into a whole bunch of like rambling about light sources, but this is kind of fun. Yeah, let's see. Let's get back into cleaning up some of the shading I'm doing here. I'm changing my mind a bit. Let's darken that a little bit. This picture's almost done. I should remind myself and calm myself that this picture's almost done. A lot of my plans have been kind of put on hold and mixed up because I'm catching up on so many pictures at once, and it just gets me all fuzzy in my mind. Oh, I'm sorry, Max. You said there's some lag on your part. Which part? I have to know what you heard last. Otherwise, I might repeat the wrong part. There's a lot I said about lighting and light sources and stuff like that, but I'm happy to repeat. It's a bit of a reward for you guys being here and helping me get all the stuff off my chest, listen to me talk and such. So I want to help out. If it's just about the second light source, about most of the lighting stuff, wow, I've talked about a lot of lighting this whole stream. But in the second light source here, we clearly have one in the upper left. Okay, if you want to talk before that, about picking a light source, Max, you can pick any of them. You can pick any direction and then just make sure all of the light that you add is in the, like, it all matches. So if I'm creating the light source in the upper left, that means on the entire character, it's always going to face that light source. So we've drawn little imaginary glows like this. The brightest parts of each object will be facing that way. They will always be facing this way. Like that. Which means shadows will be the opposite. All of these shadows will be away from the light. And this just takes practice. You have to practice it a lot to get used to what feels right, what looks right. And when I'm adding a second light source, I remember the first time I tried it, I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. It felt really confusing. I was like, is this a thing? How do you add a second light source? But I can go ahead and bring up that image from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Alchemist Brotherhood. What do I call them? They're like not title cards. They were like commercial break cards, halfway points. I'm just scrolling through, seeing if I can find examples. They would do it for every episode, actually, and it's an example of adding in a second light source that makes it look really cool. Okay, here we go. Here's a good example. Okay, let me open this in a new tab and show you all here. Oh, poop. It opened a whole nother thing instead. I hate when websites scam you like that. When instead of opening the image, they just open a website, even though you click the thing. Ooh, Street Fox is here. Welcome aboard, Street Fox. Glad you could make it. This was a random episode, mainly because I needed to get more practice. I need to get work done and practice my flow. So that's why we're doing this. Talking about lighting right now. And you can see right here, there's a second light source in this picture. And they chose to make it blue. I have sometimes done like a specific color for a light source, especially if I'm in this room right now, and then I turn on a red light behind me. There will be a red glow behind me, making this side of me red, but the light source is in front of me because I have the computer on. And that's how you add two light sources. And here, they're not really showing anything that's creating the light. They're just deciding, you know what? Why not? Let's just add blue. And that's why they did it. It is called ambient light a lot of the time. So yes, I'm glad you mentioned that term, Alex. And yeah. if you're having trouble just figuring out where it should be, you can decide. You literally can pick any light source. And like Jak said, when it comes to drop shadows, just make sure that all the objects in the picture agree. If you don't have them agree, it might catch people off guard and have them go, that doesn't look right. So if you want that effect, you can. Alex saying it's hard to do for your style of coloring. It depends on what you're aiming for. And that sometimes means it's good to experiment. Because sometimes I have seen people draw in a certain way that if I'm like, I don't usually draw that way, but I love what it looks like, I then experiment and try putting it in one of my pictures. And sometimes that gives me a new technique. So Alex is saying, it's very easy to do if you are doing cell shading. You can do it with painting too. If you are doing even traditional painting on a canvas with a paintbrush or digital painting, any kind of painting, you can also do this kind of second light source ambient light. So for example, on this pocket here he has on the side of his bag, let's just try this. I'm going to add a red glow just because. What I tend to do before I add a ambient light or highlight on the side where there's a second light source, I get that part darker like we saw with the face. I'm going to get this area a little bit darker. And if this was traditionally with a paintbrush on paper, you could mix the colors and add in a little bit of a thin black or a dark blue, something to add this part, make this part darker. As you see me blending right now, it's because my opacity is low. Which, with paints, it means having a lot of water in the paint. It means not putting much of it so that it's very thin. Depends on which type you're using. And I didn't do much painting, so I'd have to get back into that. But I do remember some of it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about the internet connection, Max. Don't worry. This will be saved so you can watch it later. And I'm definitely going step by step. Don't worry there, Max. I understand that frustration. My phone has definitely given me a lot of trouble. And my internet has given me a lot of trouble on the computer, too. Oh, it's giving you light, the area about light. Well, I'm still talking about light, actually. And you can always rewind it right now. You can rewind it because this is YouTube. So you can rewind this video. You can watch this later when you have more time and better internet at the computer. Don't worry. That is always fine. That's why I like to save videos. So we've gotten this corner darker. And now to add in a new light source from any direction you pick, I'm now going to add in red. And I can start low and add in a little bit there. And at this point, it feels like you're putting red splotches. Max is saying where to put the shadows and how much. Okay, I can go back up to this. Let's add in this bit of highlight here. Where to put shadows? Always opposite of your light source. And right here, we're adding in that glow we were talking about of a ambient glow behind him. If I do this, now we've got a bit of a Halloween thing going. Because it feels like there's a red glow behind him. So maybe a demon is being summoned. Or someone just has a red spotlight. You know, whatever works. But now we've done a little bit of that and it adds a glow. This could make a very creepy look. Which I like. I don't know if I'm going to keep it red. Depending on what Brandon, the friend who is the Patreon member of this. And remember, if you would like a prize, I do these all the time, and lessons. I have a link to my Patreon. You can search PenMark on Patreon. I do lessons one-on-one every week, even just for $1. And then I have prizes as you go up to different amounts. So that's always an option. It helps me do this if you enjoy this. So Max is asking where to put shadows and how much. It is always opposite of the light source. So if you can pick any light source you want, Max, and if you randomly pick left, so then you have it in the upper left like I do here. It just means putting the shadows in a thin amount, and it gets darker as you get farther away. So if you're worried about how much shadow, Don't add that much at first. Barely add that shadow. And then slowly add darker and darker shadows as you get away from the light source. So, hopefully you caught that part with your internet. Hopefully. Hopefully. Let's bring back that light I had before. Let's see how that looks. There we go. Ambient light behind me. And now you can see any ambient light that this is doing on me. Let me get the headphones plugged back in. Okay, good. I'm glad you're able to hear that part, Max. You can actually see it on the sleeves here. This sleeve has a darker brown, while this sleeve does not. Because the further you get from the light source, the darker the shadows get. What is Max or Street Fox saying about Phil? The lighting guy dropped his cherry drink off the lights. Dang it, Phil. Oh, good for you. Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could do that, and that's fun. Blue Wolf is back. Welcome back. Glad you could make it. I know this is a much later time for the stream. Actually, we tend to go this late anyway, so this was not too far off. This was just a random stream. I need to get myself to do more streams anyway. That's why I'm doing this now. I just need to. This is becoming a platform for my freelance work on Patreon and just me building the brand. I need the practice, so that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing more. I'm surprised how nervous I was beforehand, but that's a sign, if I'm nervous, that I need to do it more often. So, getting this, adding in the light. I will go ahead and still add more of that secondary light source we were talking about. Here, I'm just going to do a little bit of white, because I need to save time. And this way, it can be very subtle, but I don't have to take much time on it. And there's no blending involved. It's just a very thin line. And I can carve it as I like. And yeah, about all the where to put it and how intense, Max, it literally depends on the picture and what effect you want. Always start soft and then get darker. Max is saying, so as I'm not wrong, you add more shadows as you go further from the light source. Yes, that is correct. Further from the light source, lesser intensity. And thank you, Street Fox. This is actually a big step for me. So that's why I'm needing to do it more often. And I'm being honest to you guys. Normally, I have a weird thing in my mind where I somehow don't feel like I'm allowed to admit stuff like this because I don't know if I think it's weak or I think it's unprofessional, but I need to admit stuff like this. This is how we connect. It's how we bond. It's how I get it off my chest so I don't bottle. All that kind of stuff. And yeah, that way also I can do my own thing here without worrying about changing what we have on the other streams. So that's another achievement there. Next thing, but how does it depend on the character design itself and the location of light? Okay, let's see. Like, what if the light source comes from the front or the back? A lot of the times, luckily, things are never directly in front. In life, usually the light is going to be at an angle. In front of him, slightly to the left. And generally, when you're working on a picture, it's going to drift to one side. A lot of times in photos, you can kind of look at any photo and go, the light's a little bit more to the left than the right. And the way to tell that is by looking at where the shadows are. If you look at someone who's looking at the camera, like me right now, you can see which side of my face is a little bit darker than the other side. And that's only because of the lighting. So this light, I think, right here, is a much closer to my face, so it's brighter. And that side is further away because my desk's over there. So that side looks a little darker. So if we're looking at me on camera, this is the main light source, and it's slightly to the right. And when you're drawing a picture, you can pick either side. It's all up to you because you're the artist. You do what you want. And then eventually you can go, I don't know if I like that. Maybe I'll switch it next time. Blue Wolf is asking, mouse or a tablet? I am using a drawing tablet. You can get cheap ones like this. This is a Wacom Intuos Art. And it was under 100. It doesn't take too long to save for that, and they're very good. And there are more brands now too, so you can go for a cheap tablet. I would recommend Wacom because they're reliable. All of their tablets are good. Again, this is my job, and this tablet was super cheap. And it's definitely making a huge difference. So, and they're compatible with Mac, PC, doesn't matter. And Max is asking about the light source because looking at the character design, I see his shadow placement seems a bit complex, especially under the arm. Let's go to that. Let's go ahead and go to that. If you're talking about this arm in particular, it's less about the light source directly and more about his body is blocking some of the light. And okay, we also look at what Jak is saying. When making vector art, I split it in half and make one side darker. And yeah, exactly. That immediately helps it pop. And in life, in general, it's hard to get light perfectly in front of someone unless you get a spotlight and put it in front of them. Because generally speaking, there's a lot of light bouncing around, and it's usually at an angle. So that's one thing to make it a little easier, Max, is that it's never directly in front. It's usually never in front. And if you do, that can actually get kind of simple, but we can get to that. We're winding down, but I can get to a little more. With this picture, the reason it looks complex is because some objects are behind other objects. The fur here, let's mark it in red and put it on a new layer so it doesn't intrude. This is the kind of thing I would do on Patreon one-on-one more often, but this is kind of a preview for you guys. This object is above this object. So here is where we're going to get all the shadows. Not because of the light source at all. That has nothing to do with the light source. Because even if I change the light source, this shadow is usually always going to be there. And same with a little bit here. Same with it over here. Those shadows I just added that I'm blinking right now, those are usually going to be there no matter what the light source is. Because the objects are on top of each other. They'll be adjusted a little bit. You know, if the light is coming from underneath him, that is going to change some of the shadows. But whenever you have objects on top of each other, you're going to have lighting like this. Those areas that I'm blinking, those, whoops, those are going to always be there because of the objects overlapping. So, whoa, clicking the wrong layers. I'm right next to my mic, and that's why I'm clicking the wrong thing. Let me scoot that a tiny bit. But yeah, I agree with that that technique, Jak. It does make a big difference. And that's why I typically, on almost all my pictures, add little highlights like this, is because it helps the object pop. And even if the light source isn't that extreme, I can still add a tiny bit to help it pop. So this sleeve is going back under his armor. That's why I added that little extra shadow. Sorry about the frustration, Max. It's just the internet. You can always rewind if you need to. There's an extra hug command. That's the reason I made the hug, if you want it. And then also, I save these videos. So it's always okay to watch them again when you have time and better connection. So don't worry there. I'm sure. I see I'm getting the reminder about the time. So I do need to go ahead and wind down. Yep, I hear you. Talking to them about that. I don't mind if you guys hear that I have a family. They're over there. They talk. They do things. It's fine. I'm winding down. I don't like being strict to myself, but I need to be. So we're just about winding down. I've talked about multiple light source things, actually. And don't worry, Max. You can always rewind. That's part of why I save on YouTube. Twitch is a nice site. But I obviously need to finish up. Oh, it's because the kitten. But you can open the door if it's for the kitten. Oh, I locked my door. Let's get the kitten. Okay, let's bring in kitten.
Because everybody wants to come. Yoruichi, everybody.
Okay, girl. Here's Vivian. Here's Vivian. There we go. Got her food and her litter box. Hold on, Vivian. Hold on, baby girl. There we go. We'll wind this down. This is the farewell. This is the end of the night. Little baby girl. Yeah? What do you want to say? Huh? Do you want to bite the mic? Because she doesn't. Okay, girl. I'll set you down. There's some food. Yeah, good. Good. She's getting food, and I probably should too. But yeah, the reason I save all these on YouTube and I don't use Twitch anymore is because there's limited ways to save the video on Twitch. You can't really rewind, I don't think at all. So personally, I'm more comfortable with YouTube to this. But yeah, you can always rewind these and I save them all the time. And yeah, that gives a good summary. I got a whole lot done. This is practically done. All I need to do is continue the rim lighting I was doing on this side, which I would just be doing a little bit more of this and carving it. I'll probably do that tonight after we say farewell for the end of the stream. But yeah, that's what we're doing here. I would just be continuing it in a very thin manner. And as an extra way, if you really want the light source to be in front of him and not to the side, you could make sure to kind of evenly have shadows on both sides of the sleeve and have the highlight of the brightest part of the sleeve here. You could have that be in the middle. It gets into color theory. It gets into just because you could use different colors to create the light. There's a bunch of ways to get complicated, but always rewind during a live stream. Right now at the bottom of the video here, you can rewind it if you need to. I understand that it can be hard to keep up with a live stream because it's live, but I gotta keep a pace and I gotta practice. And thank you guys so much for watching this and helping me get some of this off my chest, help me give a lot to think about as I'm practicing this, because I'm obviously learning my own flow, and as I'm trying to sort out what happens on Patreon and expand from there, and hopefully very soon have a stable schedule for Jak and Silly for us on our streams, because I know they're waiting on me. I'm the problem with those streams going all weird. We try to keep the same day, but I am the reason, because I've got so much I'm trying to do at once, and I need to just learn to stay. I need to set a schedule, but then figure out ways ahead of time to allow for problems. I think that's it. I do tend to plan for what's happening that day, but when things go wrong or I have an extra thing to do, I don't allow for enough time beforehand, and so I think that's what's going on. But yeah, Max saying you do have saved the videos and liked videos, but haven't gotten around to rewatching them, and I understand that. It's why I get on my level. It's why I always let myself unwind before every time I go to bed. I always unwind with YouTube because of all the things that I need to watch. I then do little bits of whatever they are. I have a little playlist for that. And yeah, it's a mix too of like, sometimes I have funny stuff I want to watch, and sometimes there are tutorials I want to watch. Right now I'm binging a lot of podcast tutorials because I want to learn more about podcasting. Stuff like that. And I can understand not wanting to be behind the live feed, but it can help you catch what you just missed. And you can always click the live button after you heard the detail when you go back. But don't worry. These are always saved. I'd like to eventually make tutorial videos when I have time, but that depends on Patreon. So I mention it all the time underneath the webcam here and in the description. I have a Patreon and it helps me make these videos. If you would like me to make more of these and do tutorials and do more stuff like that, and you enjoy Jak and Silly and me making these, Patreon is how I'm able to have more time. So any tiny amount of support over there does help me a lot. So I try to mention that just as a reminder, these will still stay here. I'm trying to keep all the videos we do. So even if you can't make Patreon, this will still be here. I'm trying to accommodate for both. And I understand not wanting to miss anything. And if you have several tabs open in videos, yeah, that can... It's good to take a step back and do one at a time. That's what I'm learning here. I'm trying to bite off more than I can chew. And that ends up leaving me feeling scattered. So I had to try making this video, letting myself think and get out of my shell. I will still be planning to do something on Sunday with Jack and Silly, because Sunday is the day that works best for them. And Tuesdays will always be the Jackrabbit stream. I will continue to try and post things on Twitter like I've been doing before a video goes live. And I think we can also post on Twitter in case something doesn't go live. In case we need to reschedule, Twitter is my place. That's the place that just is the most comfortable for me. It's where I know most of you. My kitten is licking my feet. Vivian, you're so adorable. Sorry for hitting the mic with my hat. You're so cute. She was feeling kind of sick before, but hopefully she's feeling better. I think it's because she was at the vet and got shots. So I think we're fine. You good little baby girl. You are. And she just ate, so I won't pick her up. But she did give me the signal that we need to go ahead and end for the night. Thank you all for watching and helping me have some friends to talk to. Even if you're new here, I really appreciate the company. Hopefully you're learning something or at least feeling a little entertained throughout this. There's a lot I'm juggling at once, and you all being along the ride is helping me make sense of it. I really enjoy doing these for you guys, and I'm trying to expand, even if at times my schedule is weird because of work, or I'm making all these ideas in my head and then I can't get to them yet. I have to catch up one at a time. I think that gets to the thing Max was saying about having too many tabs open. It's like that in life. If you have too many things at once, it's hard to give any of them attention. So it is productive and okay to sometimes put something on pause. My webcomic has been on pause for about a year now, a little more than a year. And that's okay. I'm still going to finish that webcomic. But it needed to go on pause for a while for me to figure out Patreon and figure out a living. Like Jack's saying, he's got a lot of stuff on the side too. That's normal. You're not failing if it's hard to do stuff all the time and you have too many things. That's not failure. That means you have a lot to do. And it is okay to take a break from it, put one of them on hold. Sometimes it's important to take a day where you're like, you know what, I really just need to play video games or watch videos. I feel so mixed up and stressed. Hello, you wanted to join me, little girl. I'd pick you up, but you've just eaten. There's a little kitten girl here on my desk now. Yes, I know, girl. I know. You're climbing over my equipment and being a silly little girl. Yeah, you're being a silly. Can you see her? I don't know if you guys can see her. There she is. There she is. She's so big. Yeah, you're so big. But okay, she's trying to get me out of here. Alrighty. Thank you all for watching. I've been saying that now. It's another thing I'm learning to do, and I need to learn to just end. Maybe if I make an outro video, maybe that'll work. Like a little credits. But alrighty, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying this and chilling with us. Learning to prioritize, like you said, Max, is definitely a skill, and it's hard. And you're allowed to stumble as you figure it out, because I'm doing it right now. You're allowed to ask for help, ramble with friends, and just test it out. Try something new, and if it doesn't work, at least you tried it, and you're getting somewhere. So, yeah, this was what our whole topic was today, is new concepts and stuff. So, thank you all for watching, and I keep plans updated on Twitter. So that is the fallback. If you're curious what's going on with me, you can go to my Twitter, and I've always posted if stuff is being planned or something scheduled. So, it's the same thing twice. Anyway, thank you all for watching, Bunny Buddies, and I will see you guys the next planned one Sunday. So thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.